Good morning. My name is Angela Scott, and I'm the Adult and Community Services Manager at the Columbia Public Library. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we're going to be talking about kindergarten readiness with Karen Washer. Karen is a consultant with the Center for Excellence in Child Wellbeing, doing special projects for DESE. Karen will take questions at the end, but please feel free to type your questions in the chat box. Please welcome Karen Washer.
Thank you, Angela. Welcome, everyone. Again, my name is Karen Washer, and I work with the Center for Excellence in Child Wellbeing, and I'm so thankful to Jim Bloom Library for letting me chat with you guys today about kindergarten readiness. So I have spent most of my career teaching kindergarten and first grade. It is the most wonderful, I think, grades to teach, and there's so many amazing things that happen in that kindergarten year for growth across the board for our little ones. So today I'm hoping to offer some information about expectations about your child's readiness for kindergarten and ways that you can support their transition into this wonderful adventure. Remembering, of course, that each child is going to develop at their own pace, and they are going to be, every child is going to be bringing their own unique strengths and then areas in need of growth to that kindergarten experience. So let's get started. Okay, what does it mean to be ready for kindergarten? So a child ready for kindergarten is curious and ready to explore. They have an understanding of some early academic skills like letters and numbers. A child ready for kindergarten is able to sit and stay on task for a short period of time. So one of the major concerns for a kindergarten teacher is how to keep kids' attention and move them basically in anywhere between a 10 and 20-minute attention span. Not too much sitting, lots of moving around and changing things up to be developmentally appropriate. Kids who are ready for kindergarten can listen and follow two-step directions like walk to your table and sit in your seat. A child ready for kindergarten has the stamina to be at school for a full day. Although at the start of the school year, of course, there's going to be some rest and quiet time to support that transition to a busy kindergarten day. A child ready for kindergarten has had some experience of being part of the community. And this means that they know that everyone in the group is important and there are rules and expectations to support the safety and progress of the whole group. And the most important community a child would have thus far is the community of their family. And it's the most important, the most influential. The home experience is the best place to support a child's development. And so that's one of the reasons we're having this conversation today, because what you are doing to prepare your child is going to have a great influence on how that your child's comfort level, confidence, competence is moving into that kindergarten experience. Again, understanding that every child is going to show up on that first day with their own unique abilities and areas for growth. So what does kindergarten learning look like? I love these pictures because we see children actively engaged in the experience that they're having. We're playing instruments, we're reading books together, we're doing a math game and graphing, and you see that little boy's got this fishing thing, he's trying to catch a fish, and then they're going to graph the colors. Very interactive. Early childhood learning is about children actively making sense of the world around them. Learning in kindergarten looks like play, exploration, and discovery. And it is the beginning of the scientific method. I wonder why. Let me try to figure it out. Let me ask questions. I might make some discoveries to tell me my expectations were wrong, but I've learned something, or I might find out that my predictions were right on track. That is what they're doing every single day as learners. And they've been doing that since the time they were born. Children should have opportunities to ask questions, make predictions, investigate, and evaluate. For example, while reading a story, a teacher might ask, what do you think will happen next? What has happened so far that makes you think that, make that prediction? How does your prediction compare to what actually happened in the story? Were there clues that you missed? So we are talking about the story. We're stopping and asking questions, which is what good readers do, right? Making predictions, having ideas, and then saying, well, I didn't expect that. That was a real twist to the story. I am going to share with you a link that will bring you to, I'm going to copy it right now. I can get it. It's not copying in my notes. I'm going to have to share this with Angela and have her send it to you. But there is a place, a website where you can go and see kindergarten in action. And it's such a great opportunity. They break down different parts of the kindergarten day, focusing on different parts of learning. So reading, math, writing an essay, and you will see how hands-on the experience of learning in kindergarten is, with teachers intentionally connecting tangible experiences, physical experiences, to more abstract experiences. So an example, one of the videos will focus on a kindergarten writing experience, and the teacher is offering information, some real content about what she wants them to learn, and she's putting out props that the kids can manipulate and help to remember that content. And then when the children go to the writing process, those props are right there and they can pick them up to help them recall the information, organize the information, and then draw or write their piece. Very hands-on, and you might be already thinking to yourself, I could probably do something like that at home. So we'll get to more of that in just a minute. But first thing where I'm going to take you through is some of the basic domains of learning and what those expectations are. And when we get to the end of this, I'm going to share another resource for you where you will have access to all of the early learning standards that we expect kiddos to have at the end of that preschool experience heading into kindergarten. Again, I cannot say this enough. Understanding that children develop at their own pace, each child's going to show up with their strengths and areas of concern. And the expectations for what kiddos look like when they enter kindergarten are from that very early beginning reader to I've had kids coming in reading at a third grade level. Huge range of abilities and strengths coming in. And all of those kiddos who have these sort of strengths that you think, wowza, that's beyond grade level, also have some other areas that are in need of some growth and support. And that's what kindergarten teachers do. So thinking about social emotional, this is the most important area for your child to have competency as they're entering kindergarten. I used to tell parents all the time, I don't need your child to know all their letter sounds or to be able to read or to be doing math. I need for them to be able to listen, hear directions, interact with others in a positive way. So just very quickly, being able to separate from a parent or caregiver without getting overly upset. Do we have kids starting kindergarten who tear up and maybe have a hard time separating? Yes, but overall, it should be an expectation that's pretty unique to kindergarten. You want to give your child some practice with that kind of experience. I know this is hard in COVID, and some of our kiddos are not getting that same preschool childcare experience that they would have if it wasn't for COVID. But even if you're bringing them to a grandparent's house or close neighbor, someone with whom you are comfortable with, they should know some personal information such as their first and last name, their age, and names of significant adults in their world. They should be able to take care of basic needs like the bathroom, getting dressed, and knowing when to ask for help. Knowing when to ask for help is super important. You can have a little one struggling to open part of their lunch and not having the understanding that if I just raise my hand, somebody can come over, I can tell them what I need and they can help me out. Performing simple chores like setting the table or wiping the table clean, following rules and routines like putting their dirty clothes in the hamper or getting ready for bed. I will stop and say, as a parent, some of you might be thinking, I can't get my kid to do that. Is it because they can't do it? Or is it because that's part of not wanting to do it? So this is really not so much about sometimes my kid doesn't like to pick up their room or put their trash away or whatever it might be. This is an example of what they can do. They can listen and follow directions and follow some of those routines in your home. They should be able to engage in reciprocal conversation of listening and responding on topic. If your child is in a peer group and people are talking to them and saying, I had a great weekend, I did this, what did you do? And your child is not engaging, that would be an example of a concern at this point. Kindergartners who are ready for kindergarten show happiness when others are successful and concerned when others are sad or hurt. They are able to interact and develop relationships with peers and adults, and they are able to show cooperation for a group experience like a game or building a tower. And they can pay attention for about 5 minutes to a task that is adult-led. And that would involve listening to directions for an activity or discussing the day's weather for circle time. How can you support your child's social emotional development? Again, you are the most influential person in your child's world. Their primary caregivers are going to be able to promote their development more than anybody else, more than any teacher, any specialist, anyone. So just remember that, how important you are. So some things to support your child's social emotional development. You want to normalize conversations about feelings. It looks like you're frustrated because you had to leave the party early. You seem angry right now. I'm going to give you a few minutes. We can talk when you're ready. I am so excited to see Papa tonight. It's really hard to wait until he gets here. When your child understands their feelings and can talk about them, they're less likely to act out impulsively or to hold it in and then fall apart. So we want to really encourage that. And sometimes they might be in a situation in their school experience where they need to say, I'm feeling sad because I didn't like it when you did that. That hurt me. You took the toy away from me, you bumped into me, whatever. We want them to be able to use their words. Encourage play experiences with other children with supervision. That supervision allows you to notice the interactions that are happening between your child and their peers. That means sometimes adults need to offer guidance so that play is safe and respectful. You may also notice some interactions that you want to discuss later with your child. So for example, when Dylan was visiting today, I noticed that he was having a hard time giving you a turn with your remote control car. You were very patient and let him use the toy as much as he wanted. I'm wondering how that made you feel. Having a follow-up. We had a lot of conversations about sharing toys when friends came over. And sometimes my kids would say, you know, the next time that's a toy that I'd like to kind of keep somewhere where my friends can't get to it because I didn't like the way they were playing with it. I was worried it was going to get broken. And when I say, let me just back up a little bit. When I say supervision, that doesn't mean you have to be right on top of them the whole time, but you need to be within hearing distance so that, again, you can promote your child's development by checking in and talking to them about some things that have happened. And then we want to practice empathy, recognizing that the feelings and perspective of others is supportive of healthy relationships. You can notice and comment on the illustrations of a book character. Oh, look at her face and the way she's holding her head down. She looks sad because the puppy chewed up her shoe. Training your child to sort of notice those things, notice body language, notice people's facial expressions. Or, uh-oh, look at how he's looking at that pile of treasure. What do you think the pirate is going to do? I can see how excited Grace is to see you. She's got a big smile on her face and she's bouncing up and down. All really positive conversations. And then providing consistent routines within your home. Routines that are allowing your child to feel confident and competent, which in turn is going to promote feelings of self-esteem and independence. Routines will be a big part of their kindergarten experience. Age-appropriate chores and self-help tasks like packing or unpacking their backpack, brushing their teeth, and getting dressed on their own are all really great ways to give your child some of those opportunities to build their abilities and their skills, and also to feel really good about themselves and their independence. In particular, when thinking about the routines that you're going to need for the start of your child's kindergarten experience, starting to talk about those now and starting to put some of those things in place is a really good idea. There's nothing worse than getting to 2 days before the start of school and thinking, oh, I haven't thought about what needs to be done the night before, what needs to be done that morning. Hopefully some of you have had some experience with that, with some experiences outside of the home thus far. But kindergarten tends to be a little bit, kind of takes everything up to a higher level. So thinking about that now and practicing some of those routines, and also thinking about even things like how late they stay up at night and what time they need to get up in the morning for the start of kindergarten. One of the things we did with all of our kids was in the summer, if we were home, we had a busy morning and we took a little bit of time in the afternoon and they did what we called brain work. So there were some, they could read, they had some activities to work on. Some of them were just scavenger hunts I made up for going around the house, find something that does this, find something that does that, find something that has a motor. And it was some sort of brain work. So for the older kids, it was maybe practicing their algebra but for the younger ones, it was mostly looking at books or doing some sort of project. That's a really great way to get your kids adjusted to that routine. So what does it mean to be ready for literacy? When I talk about literacy, I am thinking about listening, talking, writing, and reading. And in the school world, we talk about language and literacy. Really, all of these skills go together and are a part of being able to be a writer and a reader. So literacy skills are about expressing or finding meaning by listening, talking, writing, and reading. Language and literacy experiences in kindergarten promote children's development to listen and talk and read and write so they can understand or communicate a message. So always focusing on meaning. You'll notice that I didn't say literacy is about knowing all of your letter sounds. Literacy is about reading 50 words. That's part of literacy, but the goal of listening, talking, writing, and reading is to exchange meaning between yourself and your audience. And so we're going to sort of break this up a little bit. So language development is that listening and talking. And these are some skills that we expect kids, or experiences that we expect kids to have had before they come to kindergarten. Language skills are the ability to understand a verbal message, that's receptive language, and the ability to express a spoken message, and that's expressive. So in addition to the spoken word, some children may also be communicating through sign language or augmentative and alternate communication devices. And so that is a child who's maybe using a tablet or a other sort of device that they're not using their speech to communicate. Speaking in complete sentences, they should be able to be understood by others most of the time, able to use their words to express their needs and wants, make comparisons, describing relationships between objects like big, little, under, over, able to participate in group activities, listening to music and songs, following directions with 2 or more steps, reacting and responding to books or stories. And that means specifically, I hear a sad story, the puppy dies in the story, and I sort of, oh, or something happens that's funny. Oh, ha, 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 that's funny. That they are hearing the story and they're having a response that is appropriate. And then listening to and engaging in conversations with others. And again, that's back to that reciprocal conversation. Reading readiness are important readiness skills for learning to read. And again, this might surprise you what this looks like. So enjoying listening to stories. They should know how to find the first page of a book and which way to flip the pages. And this is part of what we call concept of print, and includes other skills such as knowing the front and back of a book, the understanding that the print tells the story concept, and the print or the text, I usually use the word text, matches the illustrations. So if I'm reading a story about a duck building a boat, then the words and the pictures are going to match. I wouldn't expect to talk about a duck building a boat and see a picture of a puppy rolling in the mud, right? So those should match. We say to our kids, show me where I should start reading. And there should be some sort of understanding of directional rules, moving left to right. I want to point to the words as I read, listening, understanding the first and last sounds of a word. What's the sound you hear in, what's the first sound you hear in the word cat? I hear the k sound. And also the concept of upper and lowercase letters. So that's all about concept of print, and it gets more complex as they start to move from a emerging reader to a reader. They should be able to recognize some familiar logos and signs like stop signs, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Kohl's, all those things. They can recite the alphabet and identify most of the letters. And one of the things I used to ask kids when we were talking about kindergarten readiness was, can you say the alphabet without singing it? A, B, C, D. So that's just taking that expectation, just making it a little bit more challenging. That's a great way to assess, okay, they know all of their letters. Recognizing and trying to write their own name, recognizing when 2 words rhyme, like cat and bat. This is the really important nitty-gritty stuff to be able to be a reader. Start to connect letter sounds to letters. Again, like the sound of the first letter in their name. So my name is Karen, and I would say Karen. I hear that same beginning sound in the beginning of the word cat. Now we know that cat begins with C and Karen begins with K, or at least the way I spell it. but it's the sound I'm pointing to, I'm thinking about. What other words start with k? Kangaroo, kick. Car begins with that same k sound. That's what we want them to really tune into. Playing games with words, and that includes nonsense words, to build your child's ability to hear and manipulate those smallest units of sounds in words. For example, I might say to a child, when you hear me say, ah, what word does it make? Mop. That is a really great way to play with words. You can do that in the car. You can do that at home, just do a couple through, get them used to it. Really getting them to tune into the sounds that they're hearing in the word and understanding that mop is made up of ah. They might not know all of the letters that make those sounds, and that's okay. We really want to tune into hearing those sounds and separating them up. And then here's another one that I love. What new word can we make when we put snow and man together? Snowman. Let's break up some words into parts. Cupcake, cup, cake. And then if you are interested in getting into syllabication, put my hand under my chin and I say cup, cake. Oh, every time my chin hits my hand, I have made a new syllable. Great way, tangible, right? One of the things that I would expect that your kindergartner will be doing in kindergarten is hearing words and clapping the syllables, doing that very nice early work of breaking up words, snow, man, cup, cake, 2 syllables. As they get better at that, I used to do things like, if you have 3 syllables in your name, you can line up. You have 4 syllables in your name, you can line up. Making that more challenging and more interesting. So writing, what are some expectations of what a little one would be doing to as they're coming into kindergarten? Beginning to write some letters, writing their name, understanding that letters make words. That doesn't mean that they're writing words necessarily. Again, understanding that letters make words, there's a huge spectrum of where a child might be with that process. Able to draw a picture, to express an idea, and participate in writing for meaning experiences. Now, if you have a child who's not writing words and you're thinking, oh my gosh, what's she talking about, participating in writing for meaning experiences? This could look like drawing a picture to show my family. It could be, we went to the beach on vacation, and I'm drawing a picture of my family at the beach on vacation. The sample that is in front of you this is from a class book where kiddos were learning about different jobs in the community. Everybody drew a picture of what they saw themselves, thought that they might like to be doing when they're all grown up. And the teacher types the text, Kinley wants to be a veterinarian. Look how meaningful that is. The illustration matches the text. I see her with a big smile on her face. She's outside, she's taking care of some 4-legged animal with the tail, but she has matched the picture to the text, and it is a meaningful experience for her. So this could look like scribbles, symbols, letter-like forms to communicate ideas, write books, or label pictures. Your child may write their name on their artwork. That's a meaningful use of print. Sign up to use the computer or write a thank you note to a friend. Thank you notes are a great way to connect writing experiences for your young ones, because I'm sure they're getting all sorts of fun things from different people in their world, and writing a little note. They tell you what they want to say. You write thank you for the trampoline. I like to bounce. They sign their name, maybe draw a picture. You're giving them really meaningful experiences. And it may also mean using written words in their environment to assist them with their own writing, if your child is in that place, such as signs and cereal boxes. So my kids had some books that were just environmental print, and they would copy those, copy the word McDonald's, copy the words IV, because those were words that were meaningful to them. So the places that you go are those meaningful experiences for your child. This is a good time for me to say that your child's experiences is the best place to extend their learning. So building on what's important to them. You have a child that likes trucks, you get books on trucks, you talk about trucks, you look at pictures of trucks, because that's their interest. You have someone who wants to be a ballerina, we get books about ballerinas, books about dancers, right? We connect that, and then we build off of those experiences. So what can I do to support literacy? I could not say this ever enough. Read every day and reread books. When you reread books to your child, you and your child are going to find new things to appreciate in the book. It's also going to lead to them having some memorization of the book, being able to go through the book and do their own rereading. That's called reading. Kids would come to me in kindergarten and say, they'd be looking at a book at their quiet time and they'd be reading. They knew the story well enough that they knew how to tell the story. They weren't reading the story, but they were telling the story. And when we would talk about learning how to read, those very same kids would say, I don't know how to read yet. I said, yes, you're reading. I heard you. Oh, but I wasn't reading the words. No, but you understood the meaning and you remembered it. And that's how we learn how to read. So again, so valuable. These are the baby steps to get to the big thing of the reading. As your child has new experiences, they will find new ways to connect with familiar books. That is one of the amazing things about books, is that connection that we have with them. Talking about the pieces of your child's world. This means talking about the things you see in the neighborhood, on trips around town, or on television. Those important stories that they like to watch on TV, talking about them. That's important to your child's world. These conversations are going to help build the child's understanding of their world. You can also print pictures from your everyday world of families, your family visits to the park, important places like childcare, the library, the doctor's office, the grocery store, and your child can make their own book to read. Just print them out. They can, wherever they are in that process, they want to tell you what to write, you can do that. We call that guided dictation. This is my ballet studio. This is where I play t-ball. Or maybe they want to try to write the words t-ball. I hear T, I hear B, I hear ooh. That's the beginning of being a writer. Again, whatever's meaningful to them, we want to extend on. When reading, we're going to pause and ask questions or comment on the story. Why do you think we did that? Oh, what do you think is going to happen there? We also want to use interesting words. For example, this cookie is scrumptious. It is really good. They just learned what the word scrumptious meant. Keep using it. It'll be fun. Imagine your child going to kindergarten and eating their peanut butter and jelly sandwich and saying, my sandwich is scrumptious. So fun. It's a fun word to say too. Tell your children stories from your own life, or about the day they were born, or about the day they joined your family. This helps develop their personal and cultural identity. This is what they're going to write about. Kindergartners, early writers, write about what they know. We want to expand what they know about their own world, why you chose their name, how you felt the first time you met them. And for some kiddos, that's going to be in the hospital. For some kiddos, that's maybe going to be in a bathtub. And for some kiddos, it might be the day that they joined your family through adoption or through foster care. All of those are equally valid and important to our little kids. You can play letter bingo. This is going to, again, really be something that you can do whether your child is at the beginning of learning a few letters, or if they know all of their letters and they want to make a bingo board. They pick, how many boxes are there? Like 12 boxes in the bingo board, 5, 15, I don't know. However many boxes there are in a bingo board, they put the letters on there. And you say, I pulled out a picture of a goat. What letter begins with, what sound do you hear at the beginning of goat? So instead of finding letter to letter, they're hearing sound to letter, right? You can do that at home with some scrap paper and some pencils and some M&Ms. You got yourself a game. Every time you finish playing the game, even if you didn't win bingo, you get to eat your M&Ms or whatever little candy you like. But it's fun, it's meaningful, and it's not sitting in a workbook and being stressed about making this hard. It should feel exploratory, and it should feel like if I make a mistake or I get something wrong, it's not a big deal. That's how I learn. So math, some expectations that we have for coming into kindergarten. Some of you are thinking, oh, my child can count to 20. That's awesome. They don't have to count to 20. Counting from 1 to 10 without skipping numbers is a great way to start off your kindergarten experience. Matching a number to a group of 5 or fewer items. I see 3 cats. Or if you have some sort of I Spy book, we're looking for 5 thimbles. Let's see if we can find the 5 thimbles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Making those connections, real life connections. writing some numbers, recognizing and naming some basic shapes, and using shape words to describe items. My pizza is shaped like a circle. Naming or pointing to colors, creating shapes with materials. So this is an extension of being able to identify a shape. I can make shapes with Play-Doh or tangrams, blocks, pieces of paper. Again, that tangible experience of putting things together and taking things apart. They should be able to understand more than and less than, arranging 3 objects in the right order, like smallest to biggest, using words like first, second, and third, participate in some graphing experiences, and noticing and continuing or creating patterns. These are all part of what most kiddos can do as they're coming into kindergarten, and what they're going to do a lot more of through that kindergarten experience on a daily basis. So what can you do to support math skills? At the bottom, it says, encourage your child to play mathematically in their world. I found that having those experiences of math were one of the easiest natural things for me to do as a teacher, because math is all around us. We can count, identify and notice numbers in our world, estimate, sort, classify, pattern, graph, and measure all day long. So that to me always felt really comfortable. And then we're moving that tangible real life experience to something a little more abstract. We are not worrying about whether or not our kids can add or subtract right now. We're not worrying about double-digit addition or subtraction. That is not what we're doing yet. Maybe your child can do that, and that's great, but that again is not an expectation of coming into kindergarten. So some examples of ways you can support this: counting. Count the apples as you unpack your groceries, or the number of forks left in the drawer after you set out the ones you need for dinner. So this is a real life subtraction experience, except we're not worrying about 7 minus 4 equals 3. We're saying, how many forks do we have in that drawer? Oh, we've got 8. Would you set the table? And then let's count how many we have left. We had 8 forks. Set out 4 forks for the people in our family. How many are left? It's the language and the meaning of the experience that's more important at this point than 8 minus 4 equals 4. Numbers need to have meaning. And for some of us, we had an experience where numbers were just things that you memorized your number facts. We want this to be really meaningful. Identifying and writing numbers, again, play number bingo. Change it according to where your child's abilities are. Maybe they're still learning 0 through 10. So those are the only numbers on the bingo board. Then we go from 11 through 19. So those are the numbers on your bingo board. Sorting and classifying, you can sort by color, texture. I'm going to put all the smooth rocks in this pile and all the rough rocks in this pile. Noticing how things are same and how they are different. Patterning blocks, kitchen utensils, fork, spoon, fork. What will come next? Small. Some of it's just hearing the word and not really maybe understanding that we're patterning, but as they get started on that, they can find patterns all over in their environment. Shells, leaves, floor tiles. You can start a pattern and your child can extend it. And as their skill level increases, they can create their own patterns. So by the time they're in kindergarten and getting a real comfort and some experience with that, they're going to be doing things like make an AB pattern, red, blue, red, blue. Make an ABB pattern, red, blue, blue, red, blue, blue. Things get really complicated by the end of the year. We had patterns that were, you had to identify the pattern. There were maybe 8 pieces of the pattern. It took longer to realize what the pattern was, and then it was more challenging to create it. But it is a really great cognitive activity to build those memory and math skills. And then measuring what is long, which one is longer, which one's shorter, how many shoes long is the dog? The dog is laying out, take your shoes. Oh, Gracie's shoes, the dog is 10 shoes long. Mom's shoes, the dog is only 10 shoes long. That's fun, right? How many steps to the mailbox? Count the steps. What if I take little steps? What if I take big steps? What if I take hopping steps? This is all part of your day and what you're doing with your child and making your everyday moments, learning moments with your kiddo. Okay, some gross motor. Kiddos in kindergarten should have a pretty good grasp of trunk control. And what I mean by that is a core strength. They should be able to, most of them are going to be able to run, skip, and gallop. And that's going to look different for each child. Some kids are naturally more coordinated or have had more experience for it. But those are some things we'd like to see kiddos doing. Jump with 2 feet together, hop on 1 foot, be able to climb stairs independently, throw, kick, and bounce a ball, and try to catch it. I want to go back to that trunk control, that core strength. Our kids do need to spend some time sitting. Schools have come a long way in providing a lot of different kinds of opportunities. Kids can stand at their table. We've got beanbag chairs. We've got those yoga balls that they can sit on. There's a variety of seating opportunities for them, and that's important. But thinking about the difference between a child who has got good core strength, being able to sit on the carpet, being able to sit on a chair, and we've got all of the oxygen going through our body all the way back up to our brain. And that keeps us awake and alert for learning. If we are slumped over, we're going to feel tired, we're going to have low energy, and it's going to be harder to be a learner and a friend. So thinking about your child's trunk control, just watching them when they're sitting on the floor. Are they able to hold their body up for a good 10 minutes, or are they slouching? And starting to work on that and find some ways to build that core strength for your kiddo. Fine motor expectations, they should be able to hold a pencil or a crayon with some control, not too tight, not too loose. They should have started to use scissors and copy basic shapes. So basic, when we talk about copying basic shapes, that is about looking at something and being able to create it. There's some eye-hand coordination involved with that. And there will be some expectations as they come into kindergarten to do some copying. We know that this is very challenging for kids. So if you think back to your own kindergarten, first grade, second grade, actually your entire elementary experience, you probably have some experience with the overhead projector, and the teacher puts something up and you look down and you copy it. That looking up, making a picture in your head, looking down, and being able to recreate something on a piece of paper can be very challenging. So just getting some early practice with, I'm going to draw a shape, and then you make the same shape on your paper. That would be fun. And then you make a shape, and then I'll make a shape too. It's not so much about this is a circle, this is a triangle, this is a heart. It's more about being able to do that back and forth. You could do the same thing with letters. This is not what you should be spending the majority of your time on, but it's just something to have fun with and play with. They should be making some marks that look like letters, the numbers, and especially the ones in their name. We mentioned quite a few times, being able to write your name is such an experience and autonomy. Being able to draw a picture and put your name on it, you own it, you did it, you're proud of it. And they should be able to put together a simple puzzle. So I've combined gross and fine motor development together in terms of what you can do to support these areas. Provide a wide variety of movement and fine motor experiences for your child. That's outside play where they can climb, ride a bike, get big muscle movement like skipping, galloping, and running. Inside play, make a fort. Make some things that they need to climb under. Put some hula hoops. You got a big space, put some hula hoops out and let them hop from hula hoop to hula hoop in a safe space. Play with music and rhythm. That could be a freeze dance party. If you haven't ever had a dance party with your kiddos, super fun. We've done it in lots of different ways as a family where we just say, okay, before lunch today, we're going to have a dance party. And everybody gets to pick a song. We're going to go through all the songs and just dance around. Or maybe every time the timer goes off, we're all going to come from our different parts of the house and we're going to pull a piece of paper and we're going to do whatever it says. Oh, it's hop 10 times. We're going to all hop 10 times. Those are just fun things to do. And you're promoting your child's development. Provide materials that are playful and build small muscles and eye-hand coordination like Play-Doh, pipe cleaners, toothpicks and marshmallows, and build all sorts of things, and scissors. Your child can help with dinner by pulling the grapes off of their stems or tearing up lettuce. Great experience. And also they're helping you. And that helping opportunity, I know sometimes our kids can fight it. They have something else that they want to do, but it does really say to your child, these are some things that are important to our family. We help each other out. We work together to have a healthy meal, and they get some confidence from having that experience, and they learn some skills. make an alphabet chart and writing materials available for your kids. Your child can help write the grocery list. They can pretend to write during pretend play. For example, I'm the server at the restaurant and I'm writing down what you want, or I'm a doctor at the medical visit. Giving them a chance to take not only that dramatic play experience, which is very important, but extending it to that learning. If you are concerned, you should talk to your child's teacher or their childcare provider, express your concerns, you get some honest feedback about their views on whether or not your child's ready. Remembering you are the expert on your child, you know your child best, so you're getting some feedback and you're going to make some decisions about what might need to happen. You can contact the school that your child will attend and ask about really specific expectations and their philosophy. We know that it's important for kids to be in the right learning setting that matches their activity level, their interest level, and we want to make sure that you have your child in the best program that is going to work for them. You can arrange for developmental screenings. So developmental screenings are an opportunity to make sure that your child has hit their milestones. If your child is hitting their milestones for development, that's communication, gross motor, fine motor, problem solving, that's those cognitive skills, and personal social, so that's self-help and interacting with others. And they've had a social emotional screening, you can feel really good about your child's ability to head off to kindergarten and to grow and bloom into the learner and friend that they can be. And then I strongly encourage you to review the Missouri Early Learning Standards. And I'm going to take you to just one slide on that. I've got the standards here. I haven't been able to get my notes to copy into the chat, so I apologize for that. But the state of Missouri has a set of Missouri Early Learning Standards for birth through 5 years. If your child is, if you look at the preschool expectations for social emotional development, language and literacy, mathematics, science, physical development, and expressive arts, you will have the same information that every early child care provider and professional in the state of Missouri has. And you'll understand what those expectations are for as your child goes off to kindergarten. So more detail than I could ever give you here today. As a warning, it is an 84-page document. However, there really isn't much more information on each page than is what is on this slide for you here. I actually didn't copy a page from the slides that they have. There was just too much to share with you today. But it offers the expectation that we have for those kids, understanding that every child will learn and grow at their own pace, but also if this is the expectation, this is what it looks like and how you can promote that. So this is a document that is for, again, early childhood care providers, professionals, anyone working in early childhood, and for families. So it's not some secret document. It's something that we want families to be looking at and reviewing and to support them. Again, knowing that your family environment is the most important setting for your child. These are a couple of pieces of information. So the Columbia Public Schools kindergarten enrollment is up, and this is the link. So www.cps.org/page/10664. Okay, right? And then there's also the CPS lottery is open right now for Benton, Ridgeway, and Locust, and that is through April 23rd. So if you are thinking about maybe the school down the street isn't the best one for me or for my child, you might be interested in looking at that lottery experience for your family. Having said that, I only included Columbia just because it is the biggest school out of all of the Boone County schools, and it was just easier and faster for me to get that information. But checking your school's website and making sure that you've checked in with that, you know when all of that kindergarten enrollment is happening, and making sure that you feel comfortable making this transition with your kindergartner. So that is sort of the basics of what I wanted to talk to you about today. If you leave this presentation and the only takeaway you have is my child is going to thrive because I am going to support them, because there's nobody better to support my child than me and my family, then I hope that you have that takeaway. And I hope that you are able to just enjoy and embrace every moment of the kindergarten experience. It is such an amazing year of growth. watching our kiddos coming in and writing just a few symbols. So they think they're making letters, but maybe they're not, to the end of the year where they're writing 1, 2, 3 sentences. And for some of those kids, they're writing page after page. Everybody has, again, their own path for that development, but it is going to be an amazing year for your kiddos in this next year. So I am here. I would love to hear your questions. If you have any questions for me, you're more than welcome to reach out. My email is right there. And also, I know Angela is going to send you out some links, which will include those links that I sent you, but also the PowerPoint from today. So you have that as a reference. I have the Columbia Public Schools kindergarten expectations, plus a little handout overall about kindergarten expectations and all of that. I'm going to send off to Angela, and she is going to get that to you as well. So if you've got some questions, let me know.
Feel free to type your questions in the chat box. Yeah.
Sorry, it took me a minute to get there. First question was how long it was going to be. I think I went a couple minutes over. I have a question from Gabrielle. That is Gabrielle asked a question. That's actually a better question for you, Angela. Can you see the chat box?
Yes. So that was one of the things, if we wanted to share Gabrielle's contact information to attendees.
Okay. So Gabrielle is from KOMU 8, and she has asked if she could talk to me about kindergarten readiness after this presentation, but also she's wondering if there's anybody in the group who would like to present their parent perspective. So if you would like to do that, I'm trying to see if she's shared her information. I will have to look up Gabrielle's email and include that with the other things for Angela today. Is that okay, Angela?
That's fine. I see her email address.
Okay.
We have another
Gabrielle
question.
just included her number and her Gmail. Yay, Gabrielle!
Nice.
I thought maybe she left our early and she wasn't there. Hannah has a question. So if you would like to reach out to Gabrielle and offer her that parent perspective on kindergarten, all of her information is right there. So Hannah asked, my daughter turns 4 at the end of this May. Should she be going to kindergarten this year or next? So that's going to put her in the cycle for starting kindergarten 2022. She would need to be 5. And it's September 1st. She would need to be 5 in kindergarten. No, wait a minute. August 1st. My apologies. So you're going to have a whole other year with her, Hannah. And again, this is another amazing year. You can start practicing some of those things that I talked about today. It is wonderful to be thinking about getting ready for kindergarten a whole year before. Sometimes I have parents reaching out to me sometime about mid-July. Oh no, I hope they're ready. Probably they are, but thinking about this, and also it's not just about getting ready for kindergarten, it is about really developing your child's best ability to be a learner and a friend. And that is, of course, what we do, right? We want to be learners and good citizens, and we get to start it all right now. So that was a great question. Thank you. Okay, any more questions? Oh, Hannah says, thank you. You're welcome, Hannah.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. Oh, well, we have another question.
Jamie, this is a good question. They do a kindergarten check-in, and the purpose of a kindergarten screening is really not to say your child's ready or your child's not ready. It's an opportunity for the school to find out your child's strengths and areas where there might be some concerns, or that your child might even be at risk. So if your child is old enough to start kindergarten, Columbia Public Schools is going to say, come on in, we want you here. And when they do those kindergarten assessments, which they tend to do, they've switched this up in the last couple of years, but they're doing them right at the time that school is starting. I think they're starting kindergarten a couple days after everybody else starts that first day, and that's giving them some time to do those assessments. And again, they're looking for where might be an issue for your child. So one of the things they do now that is very standard, and this is actually across the country, is a dyslexia screening. So it's not saying, oh, there was some concerns here, your child has dyslexia, but that maybe your child is showing some delays in those areas, and they're going to make sure that they're giving your child that attention so that if it is just a delay and your child needs more practice or exposure to some certain kinds of activities, they have provided that, but also monitoring your child. And if there is a concern for dyslexia, they're able to support you and get that diagnosis so that you can support your child in the best way possible. So is it a decision on the parent? I think that for a lot of families, they're thinking about that right about now. Do I think my child will be ready for kindergarten? If you haven't had a chance to do a developmental screening, I would strongly suggest that. Parent Link, you can just Google Parent Link developmental screenings. They can take care of that for you online. Pediatricians do developmental screenings. If you have any questions about that and you want to contact me about any other organizations, your preschool might even do that. But knowing that your child has met their milestones and that they have got those social emotional skills that make them able to interact with others, manage their emotions a little bit, then that's really the most important thing. When I tell you that I have had kids coming in, again, those kids who are reading at a 3rd grade level, academically, they are like above and beyond, but socially, emotionally, they're still 5 years old. And they still need to be treated like 5-year-olds, which is a lot of hands-on, warm, comfortable emphasis on the relationship between that kindergarten teacher and the child. Super important. When we get that in place, everything else comes along, I promise. Hannah asked, is preschool necessary for your child to be kindergarten ready? You're welcome, Jamie. I think that the most important thing is giving your child opportunities to socialize. So I was telling Angela before our class started that I have recommended for almost everybody that I work with in early childhood to get their kiddos to the library for story times. The benefits are there for everyone, and there's such a great way to promote the growth in those kiddos who maybe are struggling a little bit, whether that's a dual language child learning 2 languages, whether it's a social experience. So my point in saying that is experiences where your child is getting to go out in the world and have some opportunities for playing with others, separating from you a little bit, getting to play, getting to notice how people are reacting to them, learning how to approach somebody and wanting to be their friend. That can lead to play dates. That is really, to me, more important. And then offering those real life experiences in their everyday world. Not everybody has to go to kindergarten. Your child might have a harder time at the very beginning, understanding those routines that happen in a setting like a childcare preschool experience, but that will come quickly if they've had experiences with routines in the home. They'll understand, okay, everybody's getting up and washing their hands before they have their snack. I'm going to go along too, because they've done that at home. So not necessary. You might like a little bit of a break. Sometimes it's nice for mom. I had one daughter, my oldest, she went to preschool for just a couple days right before kindergarten, because we had a situation where we had lots of social experiences and we were doing lots of things, and I didn't feel like it was necessary for her, and she's thrived. So you know your child's best. You might feel like, oh, I'm noticing some struggles here, and maybe my child should have a little preschool experience. So that was a very, very long, complicated answer for saying, no, it's not necessary. But I really want you to think about your child and your situation and what might be best for him or her. I hope that's helpful. Any more questions? I'm so excited for you. I'm a little bit jealous. I remember my kiddos heading off to that kindergarten experience. Good, I'm glad, Hannah. And just being so excited for them. And they, again, kindergarten is magical. It is such a great place to be. So I'm excited for you guys. And also it is the beginning of that roller coaster, K through 12. So put on your seatbelts. You'll get there, you'll blink, and they'll be graduating from high school, and you'll just wonder where all the time went. So
that is so true.
Yeah. And somehow I'm still 24. I don't know how that happened.
Same.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. You have Karen's contact information if you have any more questions, and we'll see you later.
Great. Thank you, everybody.